Okay, guys, I can finally do this for a while. My phone had an iCloud issue. I have been on the same iCloud with my mother since I've been 15, just hard to change it. Anyway, we had too much stuff on there and my phone crashed, even though it was only 2 weeks old. Fortunately, I didn't lose anything because she has it all saved in her iCloud, but I had to get a new one, and here we are. So I am able to hopefully upload this video. I still don't have iMessage or FaceTime, but everything via social media and everything else seems to be working. And I can make phone calls, so that's a plus. Try to get this done during her nap, but she didn't take a long nap today, so you might hear some baby sounds in the background. But anyway, OBGYN journey. I want to also apologize if this wasn't up on time. As a not tech savvy person, doing something very techy, in my opinion, has been quite the learning process, so thank you for bearing with me. I'm learning a lot along the way, but I think it'll be beneficial in the future. So anyway, OBGYN journey. I started this journey, obviously when I was 18. I went to my first pap smear. For some reason, I thought you went earlier, but I look back on medical records, and I did have my first one at 18, just a normal pap smear, and then I had them every year. And then when I was 20, I was with the person I was going to marry, so I went to my pap smear appointment, and they slapped me on some birth control because they didn't want me to get pregnant before my wedding. I was on it for like a month, and it did not work for me. I had a lot of weird side effects, probably from the endometriosis, but just didn't work. So we just took a more natural approach. And the thing is I remember distinctively, noting some symptoms I had, like horrible heavy periods and just a lot of pain with them. And they just said that, that could be normal with people. And, I just figured that's how it was. But I don't understand also how mine was so bad to a point. I know people that have had like lesser endometriosis and their symptoms were way worse. I just think it depends on the person, I guess. Anyway, I went off that birth control, and then like 2 months after I got married, I went back and we discussed having children. We weren't not trying to have a baby. We just weren't like actively planning on that. We wanted to just kind of travel a little bit. We took a couple trips. We both were kind of into our jobs at the time, if it happened to happen. So, like a year goes by and we decide to like start giving it a go, like actively, and just seeing where it happens. 2 months in, I thought I had a faint positive. So I go to the doctor and I get a blood draw, and I never hear back. I had to call, and they finally called me back and said that it was just at a 6. It needed to be over a 6 HCG level to be pregnant. So if I was, and I was like a chemical pregnancy at the time, it was going down, or I could have never been pregnant from the beginning. So that I just needed to keep trying. And I understand that you, as a clinic, probably see a lot of girls and get a lot of phone calls, and they're false alarms. But to each person, I feel like it can be kind of devastating depending on the situation. So, like, the not calling back and, like, the lack of sympathy on the phone was fine. But anyway, I wait a couple months and I go back for another yearly. Everything comes back great on my pap smear. And I just mentioned, I'm like, it's been like 6 months and I'm, 23 years old. So I feel like this should be happening. And they're like, you know what? No, it could take up to a year, which it can. But typically in a healthy 23-year-old, it takes a lot less time. It not always, but like I'm like, I feel like something's wrong. So switched obese, and kind of same thing, did an exam. It's like, you know what, we're gonna go a couple months and we're gonna see. So like 3 months go by. My husband went to a doctor and got tested for him, and he came out like glowing, like perfect. So wasn't anything from him. So I go back to my new doctor, who, this doctor actually delivered me, and I think he is great, especially at obstetrics. I just don't think, like, he's not a fertility specialist, and he did listen to me and want to try things for me, but I needed, like, a quicker approach at the time, especially on the gynecology side. Sorry, I don't even know what word to use. And he put me on progesterone for 4 months, and when that didn't work, we went on Clomid for 2 months, and that didn't work. So he recommended me to go to a fertility clinic that they usually work with, and I wanted something a little more aggressive. So, and I didn't want to jump right to fertility treatments. I felt like there was something wrong that could maybe, open the opportunity over starting IVF right away. So my sister-in-law introduced me to a girl who had her tubes cleaned out. She had a laparoscopy by this one gynecologist that strictly just did those surgeries. He strictly focused on that part of the OBGYN system. Like, he never delivered babies. He only focused on this, and he was really good at it. He did a lot of diagnoses, and he helped a lot of people have babies. So I try to get in, and I had like a 3-month wait. I called in like May, and I couldn't get in until the end of July. I go on a trip with a friend, come home, and I actually got in early. I called every week to see if I could get in, and somebody canceled, so I got in early. And when we went in there, he was doing an ultrasound. I also want to note this, like, so this was like, I went through 2 other doctors and almost 2 years of this, and nobody had even ever given me an ultrasound. I had to go to a specialist and wait 2 months to get in. So I think that kind of says something for itself. But anyway, you cannot diagnose endometriosis via an ultrasound, but you can see some abnormalities that the endometriosis can cause, and he had seen some abnormalities. So he wanted to schedule a laparoscopy. I couldn't get in for another 2 months. I was also supposed to be starting school that fall. I was going to go be an ultrasound tech. I had to push that off, and I had a job in the meantime. So I have the surgery come September, and they send me home, and I have an appointment to come back in a week to go over results, but they wouldn't call me with anything. And they wouldn't tell us how it went after, so I was kind of nervous, and I called. Anyway, the reason why was when I went back, they had found a 2 centimeter tumor off of my appendix, and they thought that it was cancerous. Fortunately, it was benign, and it had various depth, like it had layers and layers and layers of endometrial tissue, so it was just like a tumor from it. But he wanted to make sure that it was or wasn't cancer before we talked about our next steps, because I could have had to have a totally different outcome. So we went in there. They do a video of the surgery, so I got to see all of my insides, which for some people they might not like. She's learning to smack her lips, so we're smacking these lippies. You're fine. Here. Anyway, stage 4 endometriosis, my pelvic anatomy was distorted because different pieces of scar tissue was pulling it in different directions, so that caused a lot of my pain. My tubes were fully blocked at that time. So it didn't matter how hard I was going to try to have a baby, no sperm or egg was ever going to meet. So he cleaned me out, and he said the surgery actually went really good. The only thing that I didn't love is that I had to get a D&C as well. They wanted to make sure the inside of my uterus was healthy, and it came back great. But a different doctor did it. And if you don't do it very carefully, you can get bacteria from other areas of that canal, because your uterus does not have this bacteria in it. And he got some natural bacteria from my vaginal canal, and it got into my uterus, which caused mild inflammation. So when you have that mild inflammation, it's also really hard to get pregnant. I didn't find that out for like 2 months later, but so yeah, that was really frustrating because I had to go through another D&C and antibiotics to clean it out, and they just had to do it very carefully. So this happens a lot with D&Cs, just in case if anybody out there is having D&Cs from previous miscarriages or polyps. This happens a lot. It can be done in an unsafe way or an unclean way, or their tools are touching sides of your body before it's entering into the endometrial cavity, and it's bringing the bacteria with it. So that's what happened to me. Anyway, what the point of this will go into the fertility blog later, but our video, I'm sorry, video blog, I guess you could say. But it took me so long to find some answers, and I felt like the people that did not specialize in certain things or were too busy just kind of like pushed me along. And I would have, if I didn't push and doctor shop like I did, like by the end of this, I have seen 6 to 7 different specialists based on obstetrics, fertility, endometriosis, and then that's not even counting like I had some issues postpartum. So, and I had a really hard time conceiving her, and I'm hoping to heal myself and not have that hard of a time the second time around. But what I'm trying to say is that sometimes it's okay to totally just find until you get what you want. I was just to the point I was going to shop until I got what I wanted. I was not taking no for an answer. I was going to figure it out one way or another. And if you are in my position or feel like me, shop around. If you're afraid to hurt somebody's feelings, don't. This is their job, and if they're not getting you what you need or you don't feel heard, then it's your job to find somebody that will and help find some answers. So this video is going a little long, kind of a long story. I'm probably going to stop it right there. But if you have any messages or questions, please feel free to shoot me a DM, and I'd love to chat about it. If not, then we'll see you next video. Watch my stories. I've got some baby stuff on there. I'm getting back into it now that my phone is allowing me to. So thank you.